It's a perfect day in Galilee. This is News Channel 7, the Galilean Gazette, the holiest news you'll find on your tablet. I am Baba Wawa.
And I am Shelly Grace.
Welcome back to our very exciting series called Fruit. Before we introduce the next one, let's do a little reviewing. Last week, we talked about grapes and how they remind us that God gives us good friends. We learned about the story of in the new church in the book of Acts and how they shared everything they had with each other. They wanted to be sure everyone was taken care of. So they looked for ways to help each other.
That's right, Baba. Hey, kids, have you been wondering, have we talked about your favorite fruit yet? If yes, I'll tell you what, that is wonderful. If not, don't you worry. I am positive we will do it soon. But each one is so important as we learn to compare our different fruits with the blessings that God has given us.
Well, I'm about to introduce our next fruit, so drum roll, please. The fruit for today is a pineapple. This is one of the sweetest fruits found growing on the planet. It's so yummy. You can eat with strawberries, melons, grapes, oranges, pretty much every single fruit there is.
True, that is so true. But I'll tell you what, there's no question that a pineapple is also one of the strangest looking fruits that we have around. First off, they're pretty big. I mean, not quite as big as a watermelon, but they're much, much bigger than almost every other little tiny fruit in the world.
Yes, and I mean, look at this. There is no other fruit shaped like this at all. It has this thick, jaggy leaves that stick out of the top, right? Like, and the skin of this thing is like armor. I mean, you can't just pick it up like you can an apple or something and take a bite out of it. And you can't peel it like an orange for sure.
I'll tell you what, to break this pineapple open, it's going to take a little bit of work and a very large knife. You have to chop the top off and then a little bit of the bottom and then peel through all of the layers. And then there's a core. And it's tough. And you don't want to eat that. I bet it tastes really terrible.
I agree. But something about pineapples is the way they grow. Shelly Grace, have you ever seen a pineapple plant?
No.
Let me be clear. Not a pineapple factory, but a pineapple plant. They totally grow in an unusual way because they do not grow on trees or vines. The pineapple plant lifts the pineapple up into the air, almost like hands lifted to heaven praying. Oh, like this. Oh. It's the circle of life.
Like in the scene from The Lion King, it lifts it up. Rafiki holds up Simba to the sun. And that's what a pineapple plant does. With its fruit, it grows and then it lifts the pineapple like its upstretched arms are reaching up, maybe to the heavens.
A pineapple growing is very unusual. Really unusual, that's for sure. But the funny thing is, it reminds me that God may ask us to do something unusual, to be obedient in a way that doesn't feel normal, unusual, especially to other people who don't know Jesus.
That's right, Barbara. But when we obey God, He gives us the strength we need so we can overcome anything and everything. Like facing maybe someone who's a bully, or handling whatever worry we have with every struggle that we get. When we really trust Him, there is nothing wrong with feeling like His instructions might seem unusual. So kids, don't be afraid. Trust God, obey Him, and He will give us victory.
So good, Shelly. And you know our Bible story for today? We learned that in a very unusual way, God empowered Moses and the Israelites to defeat the Amalekites in a huge battle. God didn't give any secret military strategies. Honestly, the victory was won in a way that was unheard of. And Moses had to have the help of 2 other men coming alongside of him, and you'll see literally what I mean, in a very unusual way. Even though Moses got tired, the 3 men together never gave up. They stayed obedient. Moses knew that victory was all because of God.
So let's turn it over and watch our video for today and see how obeying God gives us victory.
Hey everybody, this is the story of Moses, or one of the stories of Moses. The Amalekites came and attacked the Israelites at Rephidim. Moses says to Joshua, "Choose some of our men and go out and fight the Amalekites. Tomorrow I will stand on top of the hill with the staff of God in my hands." So Joshua fought the Amalekites as Moses has ordered, and Aaron and Hur went to the top of the hill. As long as Moses held up his hands, the Israelites were winning. But whenever he lowered his hands, the Amalekites were winning. When Moses' hands grew tired, they took a stone and put it under him, and then he sat on it. Aaron and Hur held his hands up. So what they did was they both got one side, one on the other, so that his hands remained steady till sunset. So Joshua overcame the Amalekite army with the sword. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Write this on a scroll as something to be remembered, and make sure that Joshua hears it, because I will completely blot out the name of the Amalekites from under heaven." So Moses built an altar and called it, "The Lord is my banner." Moses said, "Because hands were lifted up against the throne of the Lord will be at war against the Amalekites from generation to generation." And that is the end.
Welcome back, kids. You know what I like most about our story is that now we know that it's okay to obey God, even if it seems strange or unusual to us.
Maybe God is calling you to do something unusual. Maybe instead of doing something fun with your friends next weekend, God is calling you to a service project with the church. And that would feel maybe unusual at first. But when God is asking you to serve instead of hanging out with your friends, I'll tell you what, I promise it'll make all the difference in the world to you and to everyone around you.
Maybe unusual means being a friend to a new kid's school or to a kid in the class that gets picked on all the time. I mean, do you have the courage to be unusual? Do you have the courage to do what no one else would do, to be brave enough to do, for a friend, to be a friend to someone who truly needs a friend?
Or maybe unusual means God is calling you to stand up to say no to a friend who is pressuring you to do something you know is not right. There's nothing harder than saying no to our friends, especially if it means we might lose them.
And kids, please know that we all have made poor choices before and gone along with the crowd and gave in to peer pressure. But as we learn and we grow to know God, we'll begin to decide that being different and unusual is really the best decision we could ever make. We reflect God when we stand up for what's right, and He will give us the victory. And it gets even better. God can use us to help someone else to say no. Our obedience can help give someone else the courage to be victorious too. Isn't that great?
That is so great. And you know, Barbara, let me tell you something about pineapples. You know, they're unusual. And I mean, everyone loves them. But they are so hard to try to get a little piece of pineapple. I mean, you have to, you can't get just a little piece out of there. You have to like dig in to get to the pineapple. But when you try so hard to get to something so juicy and good, let me tell you, the reward is gonna make it worth it.
The same way that obeying God gives us the victory, There will be times that God will use us in unusual ways to give us the victory. He wants to give us the strength to stand up for what we know is right in ways that everyone else will know the victory was because of Him. So kids, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid because of your obedience to God. He will be there with you. He'll give you the victory.
Man, this is really juicy.
Well, that's all for today. But listen, join us next week, please, as we learn more about our next exciting lesson, a lesson in the fruit series. So, from all of us here at News Channel 7, the Galilean Gazette,
In a world full of apples.
be a pineapple.
Hey, do you want me to cut you off a piece of this? It's really delicious.
Let me get my fingers out of the way first,
It's really
please.
delicious. You're going to love it.
It smells good.
It's really good, yeah.